Welcome back to Become a Calm Mama. I'm your host. I'm Darlene Childress, and I'm a life and parenting coach. And this episode is going to be short and sweet because I know you're all very busy. It's September, back to school, getting back into sports. It's such a huge transition for families, and it can be really overwhelming. And so I wanted to just kind of like pop on here and give you some really easy strategies to make your life somewhat simpler. So I want to teach today two concepts, and one is called eyeballs and one is called gentle handoff. So I'll start with gentle handoff and let you know what I mean by that, and then I'll talk about eyeballs. So just a brief, real quick overview. Gentle handoff is the moment that you take your child to school when you drop them off at the thing that they're going to go to, whether that's school or camp or preschool or daycare, anything like that, that I want you to learn about how to create a gentle handoff. So that's that concept. And then eyeballs is about reunion when you come back after they've been separated from you while you've been at work or, doing your home housework and things like that, doing your life. They've been at school or camp or daycare or preschool, and you are picking them back up. This could also be true for sports or dance or tutoring or any kind of activity that they're going to do. So even if it's after school, you do an eyeball time, which is really this reunion, this connection. All right, so let's talk about gentle handoff. Whenever I was raising my kids, and actually even now, if for some reason I'm dropping them off at the airport or they're going on a trip or they're going back to college or whatever it is, I have a goal in mind to deliver the most emotionally regulated human being I can to that thing. So what does that mean to me? It means that I have created an environment for my kids and for myself that is emotionally regulated enough that they don't show up at school in a chaotic, frantic, stressed energy, which means I have to have in myself a calm energy. If I'm stressed and chaotic and overwhelmed and nervous about making it on time, and I have a lot of anxiety and I'm in a busy rush, I'm transferring all of that energy to my kid in that moment. So one of the things I want you to remember is that our children, sadly, and maybe not sadly, but no pressure here, our children borrow our nervous systems. So when little babies are born, they don't really know how to self-regulate. Their nervous system is like a live wire and it's constantly zapping, and they kind of need, they need adults and caregivers to come and help soothe them and calm their nervous system. We do that by swaddling them, by shaking them, not like shaking them, but little babies, they love vibration. They love to be in the swing. They love to be in an exercise. They like to be in things that bounce, right? And that is calming to their nervous system. And when we bring our own nervous system nearby, our children borrow it. So if it's a really dysregulated nervous system, they're going to borrow that. If it's a calm nervous system, they're going to borrow that. The same for executive function. Our kids borrow our thinking. They borrow our feeling. They borrow our brain and our body until they're ready to manage it on their own. And that takes a really long time. Now, I say no pressure, right? Because you get to be a person. You're going to have rough mornings. You're going to wake up and there's going to be dog poop on the carpet and someone's going to have spilled and you're going to get an email from your sister saying that something's going on with your family or financial information's going to come through. I mean, a lot happens to us sometimes right even before 7 a.m. We get a lot of information. The news can be very upsetting. And so we have our own stressors in our life. And I want to help you think about prioritizing your emotional regulation in the morning and your children's emotional regulation, and really delaying dealing with things like that until after drop off. Instead of trying to fix it, change it, stop it, solve it, and getting into that energy in the morning, go, okay, I'm going to have to deal with this, but I'm going to deal with it later because my goal is to deliver the most emotionally regulated person I can to school today. When I find myself overwhelmed and starting to get into my own stress response, I have some cues and some clues that help me go, oh, wait, no, I'm getting dysregulated. So one is I start talking a lot, like just kind of barking commands, or, I can feel my anxiety. Did you do this? Did you do that? Did you do this? Did you do that? Right? And that's an indicator to me that I'm starting to get overwhelmed. Another indicator to me is when I get really quiet and steely and just kind of like start just barreling and bulldozing and doing everything on my own. That's indication of that maybe I'm not in my regulation. So kind of being able, and of course I obviously feel stuff in my chest. I feel stuff in my belly. I notice it in my body, but those aren't my clues first. I don't check into my body usually until my behavior is showing me that something's going on for me. Obviously, yelling is a very good indicator that you're stressed. When you're yelling at your kids, it's because you're not calm. That's just true. So when you are waking up, getting yourself going, doing what you need to do to calm yourself, whether that is making sure you get a cup of coffee or tea, whether that's making sure you spend 3 or 4 minutes just kind of silently breathing. Maybe for you, it's kind of like maybe you want to scroll for a minute, check all your emails and Instagrams and all the things, and then turn that off. If that's something you want to do, do it. I'm not going to tell you not to do that. But I am going to suggest that if it's upsetting to you, maybe it's not the best thing for you in the morning. Maybe you do delay checking your social media until after the kids go to school. Sometimes we do have to check our email and our text messages to make sure that there's no information that we need for that day, and we need to kind of be up on the information. But for the most part, we can start our day in a gentle way. We don't have to start it with our phones. So waking up, doing a couple stretches, just putting your hands in the air, kind of stretching your body, brushing your teeth, rinsing your face, putting on either your workout clothes, or if you're kind of like a lounger, just making sure you put on something that gets you in the mode of like, nope, I'm ready for the day. I'm ready to show up for my kids. Now, for me, my son always woke up before me because he was a really early riser, and he would, most of the time, we taught him to stay in his room, and he would wake up around 5:30 and then kind of come out at 6:30. And so I would often either he would hear me up and he would greet me, or I would go in, after a minute or two, and I would go get him from his room, even all the way through elementary school. When he was a little bit older, 7 or 8, he could get up on his own, go downstairs, go to the kitchen, go to the playroom, play toys. The rule was not to wake me, and my kids understood not to do that. My second son, he was a really big sleeper, and he still is, and he's a night owl. So mornings for him, I really just needed to get him up and, get him out the door. And we didn't really he didn't eat breakfast or anything like that. He wasn't a morning eater. He didn't want to eat. They always had snack at school at 10. They started school at 8:45. So I didn't make it a big deal. If he wanted a bar or something like that, he could have it in the car. But for the most part, he wasn't hungry ever in the morning. So I just allowed that to be true and okay and let him go, because I don't want to fight with my kids in the morning about stuff. Really wanted to set them up for success. When I think about a kid going to school, I think about that they are going to be armoring up. Right? No matter how perfect the school is and how much they love their teacher and how much they love their friends and how, smart they are and how much success they have at school, if they have a perfect scenario, school is still stressful for children because it's work. They have to think. They have to listen. They have to have other kids' behaviors that they deal with. It's hot. It can be uncomfortable. They have to go outside when they don't want to go outside. They have to move their body when they don't want to move their body. They have to stop moving their body when they want to move their body. They have to hold it if they have to go potty. They have to hold it. If they're hungry, they have to wait to eat. So there's a lot of work that goes into being at school. We don't need to make that mean that the school's bad or that there's something wrong with the school system. No, it's just true. It's a tax on our bodies and our brains when we go in an environment that has a lot of other people and expectations. Those are good. We want our kids to do that. But recognizing that they need to kind of get ready emotionally and physically to go to school. And that is what, we want to help facilitate that and support them so that when they go to school, they're armored up and ready. So thinking about how can I get what I need, my needs met just enough that I can be calm in the morning. So sometimes for some people, that means like making lunches before, like the night before. For some people, that means, having breakfast, kind of a easy breakfast every day. Whatever that is, setting the coffee maker up the night before for yourself, kind of whatever you can do to set yourself up for success is great. I never made lunches in the night before. I've talked about this a lot on the podcast. I was always really tired at night. I could not add another thing to my evening. But I wake up, I usually have more energy in the morning. So while I was making breakfast, I was also throwing together some simple sandwiches or whatever it was for lunch. And that was kind of like I did all my tasks in the kitchen in the morning. I was usually in the morning from, most of the morning I was in the kitchen. All right, so you get your kid up. Now this is a great chance for me to introduce eyeballs. So when your kid wakes up, it is very good to greet them and to make eye contact. So eyeballs is about making eye contact with our kids and being able to look at them and say like, hi, how you doing? How's your morning going? Did you sleep all right? I missed you. Yeah. Now that concept of I missed you is really important because kids often feel invisible. They feel like we forgot them. They feel like we don't care about them. That's just their preset. You love them. You care about them. You think about them all the time. All that is true. It's good to just say it. I've been thinking about you, wondering how you slept, right? Making a greeting. So even if your kids are like up too early or they've already gotten into something and you want to like start disciplining them or talking to them about their behavior, I would recommend pausing and just being like, okay, before we talk about that, I just want to say good morning. Hi. And actually smile, look them in the eye and connect. Your children are longing for connection with you, especially when you have been separated. This is even true of teens and of middle schoolers. They might not act like they care, but they still want us to care. They want us to be connected and committed to showing up for them. That makes them feel safe and secure and seen. So taking a minute, saying good morning, looking at them in the eye, you're calm, you're regulated, you've got a good plan for the morning, and then you are working on emotional regulation. Now, what that means is that we don't want to be disciplining our children in the morning. We don't want to use the morning as a time to bring up all the behaviors. And like if they're being naughty, they're not brushing their teeth or they're not sitting at the table and we're frustrated by all that. This isn't the time to be like, you always do this every morning. It's so frustrating. I've told you 14 times to sit down and drink your smoothie. Like we want to get in their face and start to like really kind of take some of that frustration that we have and dump it onto them. And I understand the urge and the desire to do that. And I'm going to recommend that you don't do it because your child is obviously working through their own big feelings about going to school. And they're like, maybe they didn't sleep well or whatever it is. You can say, listen, this morning is not going well and we're going to talk about this, but not now because it's time to get socks and shoes on. So if you want to be firm and hold a strong voice and let your kids know that this behavior is not working, that this is not okay, but then delay the conversation, delay the consequence, delay the discipline or the correction, delay all of it, because it's not going to set your morning up for success. It's going to create more chaos and frustration. And it will make you dysregulated, your kids dysregulated. It'll make you run out of time. You'll be running behind. Your kids won't be connected to their bodies as well. So they won't notice if they have to go potty. They won't notice if they have not brushed their teeth or whatever it is that they've got to do before school. And you are going to feel overwhelmed and stressed and frustrated. And so are your kids. And then it's like, get in the car, right? We all have those times where everybody is yelling at each other and frustrated and overwhelmed. So a gentle handoff really requires that we don't discipline in the morning and that we are connected to our kids, that we engage, that we give them eye contact, and that we move a little bit slow so that we can match their brains as their brain warms up and gets ready for school. I have noticed through the years, there's this one corner on my street, in my neighborhood, where it's a big intersection. And a lot of people driving their kids to school are in that intersection. It's like the high school's one way, the middle school's the other, the elementary schools are all this way. So you kind of end up seeing a lot of parents in cars with kids. And over the years, I have watched moms sitting in the front seat, kids are in the back seat, and mom is just yelling at the children because the morning went so poorly. And I watched the kids, their faces and their eyes kind of glaze over, and the disconnection that they have to, the almost disassociation that they have to have in order to go to school after experiencing that level of anger and yelling. It really does set your kid up for a lot of emotional dysregulation or disconnection from themselves when they get to school. So if you have done that, girl, it's fine. I have done it too. I am talking about best practice and kind of why we want to avoid those things. And really, it's because we want our kids to be successful at school. We want them to be able to listen to their teacher and be a nice friend and learn and like being at school. And so what we want to do is create an environment in our own car that is very regulated, committing to not parenting your kids or disciplining or talking through something on the way to school is part of delivering the most emotionally regulated human you can and having that gentle handoff. Okay, the last thing I'll say about gentle handoff, and I don't want to add pressure again, I'm just talking about best practices. So a lot of times we do a carpool line for kids, and that's fine for especially like third grade and up. Once they're 8 or 9, they don't really need this so much of a physical connection as they transition from home care to school care. But littler kids, they actually kind of need their body to catch up to what's happening to them and moving at a pace that is for the pace that their brain can handle. So what do I mean by that? I mean being able for them to park, you get them out of the car, you walk to campus, towards school, you be able to give a hug and, or like a little side squeeze and get eyeballs again and be able to say, I love you, I'll miss you, and I hope to hear everything when you get back. Yeah. And just saying goodbye. Saying goodbye from the carpool line, it's just hard. It's hard to have an actual handoff, right? If you think about being dropped off at the airport versus someone walking you in, or even the person who drops you off, if they just get out of the car and come around and help you with your bag and give you a hug, it feels a lot more connected, and you feel a little bit more calm when you've had that opportunity. But if it's really, we're running late, get out of the car, hurry up, grab your bag. Oh my God, you didn't get your water bottle, hurry, come back. All that is really chaotic. And it is something that can make it hard for your kids to then overcome and like re-regulate their nervous system. So again, all of this is just, the goal is delivering the most emotionally regulated human you can to that campus or to that location. And I made a commitment to myself and my kids to delay conversations about behavior until after school. Now, I was just teaching this at a live event I did this week, and a mom asked about repair. Like, is it appropriate in the car to say, I'm sorry for how I acted if you did have a rough moment? Absolutely, because what we want to do is own our own behavior so that our kids know it's not about them. They're not bad. They're not naughty, like even though they were bad and naughty. We want to be able to say to them, hey, this morning, that was me. I was not in control of my emotions. I got, my body, I got out of control of my body and I yelled, or, I slammed down your waffle or whatever you did, or, I told you can't go to the birthday party tonight because of your behavior. Like, I'm sorry. I am going to calm my body and we're going to talk about all of this after school. It's not because you're naughty or bad. It's because I just didn't have control of my body and I'm sorry. So I would suggest, if you have lost your cool, that it is good to make repair in the mornings and in that car ride. But what I've noticed about myself is that if I start to say I'm sorry and then I go, and I want to criticize their behavior, I'm not really ready for repair. So you can just say like, whoa, sorry, that was a rough morning. We're going to do better tomorrow. So if you're not really ready to take accountability and own your behavior because you're angry with your kids, I get it. You can just be like, guys, or hey kid, this was rough and we're going to work on this. Yeah, we're all going to work better tomorrow. We're going to be able to get along and, follow the directions and the rules. And yep, this is just one rough day. No problem. Doesn't mean anything. So just kind of normalizing and letting your kids know like, yep, this is a one-off. We're working on it. Especially at the beginning of the school year, it's a big transition. There's lots of stuff that gets forgotten. There's a lot of big feelings that come up for our kids, and we can really be reactive to that. So just kind of really being able to say, yep, we're all learning. It's back to school. No problem. We're figuring it out. Yep, it's all right. We'll talk about it later. No one's in trouble. Really kind of narrating that everything's okay instead of going like, this was a big disaster. We're not doing this again. Don't bring that harshness in. Okay, so eyeballs a little bit I've talked about. I'm going to talk about it again in the next episode. But for this week, I want you to remember making that eyeball connection in the mornings and before you separate, if you can, getting out of the car, saying goodbye, and then creating a morning routine that is very regulated and calm. And if it starts to go off the rails and things don't go well, avoiding disciplining and criticizing and lecturing and monologuing and all those things on the drive to school or on the drive to preschool or camps or whatever the thing is that you're doing. Avoid doing that on the drive to somewhere. It just never goes well. All right, mamas, I hope you have a great week and I will talk to you next week. Hey mama, if you enjoyed this podcast episode, I want to encourage you to do two things. The first is go to my website, calmmamacoaching.com, and get a copy of the Stop Yelling cheat sheet. You'll get a step-by-step breakdown of the most important tool I teach, which is the pause break. And you'll also get 40 ideas to reset your body and balance your nervous system so you don't have to yell at your kids. You can get a copy of that, again, at my website, calmmamacoaching.com/stop yelling. The other thing I'd love for you to do is go to Apple Podcasts and rate and review this podcast so that other moms can discover empowering and helpful, practical parenting strategies, just like you did today. Thanks so much for listening to the podcast. It means a lot to be in your ear every week and to support you on your parenting journey.